A top story, it seems the U.S. is not quite finished with its operations in West Asia. Reports indicate that they have launched fresh airstrikes north of Baghdad, targeting a militia convoy. Iraq's Popular Mobilization Force, a Shia militant group, has now said that the strikes targeted their medical team and not senior leadership. In fact, earlier, reports in Iraqi state media had claimed that the U.S. strikes targeted the Shia militant commander of the PMF. The attack happened close to 1 a.m. local time, north of the Iraqi capital. The PMF convoy included 3 cars, out of which 2 were struck by projectiles. Sources in the Iraqi army are telling us that close to 6 people have been killed in the airstrike. 3 others are said to be critically wounded in the strike. The new attack comes merely a day after the U.S. took out Iran's top general Soleimani. Speaking from his resort in Florida, Trump said that Soleimani was the world's biggest terrorist and that he was plotting a major attack against American forces.
We took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war. I have deep respect for the Iranian people. They are a remarkable people with an incredible heritage and unlimited potential. We do not seek regime change. However, the Iranian regime's aggression in the region, including the use of proxy fighters to destabilize its neighbors, must end, and it must end now. Last night, at my direction, the United States military executed a flawless strike that terminated the terrorist ringleader responsible for gravely wounding and murdering thousands and thousands of people and hundreds at least of Americans. Qasem Soleimani has been killed, and his bloody rampage is now forever gone.
And joining us now is Ray Locker, our Washington-based investigative journalist from Washington, D.C., live. A very welcome here in WION. In fact, I know it's early morning here. This is a very big development, Ray. So tell us, who really was this man, Hashd al-Shaabi, the leader of Hashd al-Shaabi? Who was he, and why was he targeted in these attacks?
Well, we believe, or the U.S. government believes, that General Soleimani, through his leadership of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is responsible for a variety of terrorist acts around the world, particularly in the Middle East, and some that have targeted U.S. troops and U.S. civilians. They have not provided a whole lot of intelligence data to back that up, but he's been known for years as somebody who's been supporting a lot of Iranian military action, and that is why military leaders, and certainly President Trump, believed that he needed to be eliminated.
Right. All right. Now, this assault could possibly bring the region to a new brink of chaos, especially after, the neutralization of General Soleimani. How do you really predict the future events? How will they unfold according to your opinion?
Well, I think it's really hard to tell. Certainly, this is not the end of it. This is just the beginning. The idea that this is somehow going to avert a war or any kind of further military escalation, I don't think anybody who's a serious analyst believes that. The president may believe it, but that's certainly not borne out by the facts. And I think Iran, based on its previous behavior, is not going to just capitulate after one act. This is tantamount to killing, like, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the U.S. military. This is an official of a sovereign nation, not a terrorist leader or somebody from a rogue, third world or international movement. This is, an official of a sovereign government, and there are usually repercussions for that. It's an assassination. It's probably an act of war. I believe that there are people inside the U.S. government who thought there were legitimate reasons to do it. But it's a serious act, and there will no doubt be serious repercussions.
Right. Do you feel, Mr. Locker, that Tehran or Washington will want a full-out conflict at this point of time, with tensions rising in the Middle East region?
I think, most people do not want a war. I think most people really don't believe President Trump when he says he doesn't want regime change in Iran. Many people in this White House have wanted regime change in Iran. specifically the previous National Security Advisor, John Bolton, has long called for regime change. And I think many people would want to see that. But I think there's not much support in the United States for a war with Iran. The last poll I saw said only 18% of the people polled supported a war with Iran, which makes sense. Because this is, we saw what happened with the Iraq war. We've seen what's happening with the war in Afghanistan, where the United States has been there for 18 years. Iran is significantly larger, more people, more resources. To think that something could happen there and be over quickly, I think is ludicrous. And I don't think the Iranians want to get in a war with the United States because a lot of people would die. And I don't think most people in the U.S. military or the intelligence community want to be in a war with Iran.
Right. Well, before you leave, my last question to you is that, do you think that Trump right now is trying to assert himself, given the fact that this year, in fact, in November onwards, a new president will be elected, and also there's a lot of controversy around Trump. So do you think that these acts of the U.S. by President Trump is a way for him to say, look, I'm a good leader and you should, get me back?
He may believe that. I don't think most Americans believe that. Presidents who lead a country in the war usually have a reservoir of goodwill behind them. He doesn't have that. This is a president who's never topped 50% approval in the polls at all during his presidency. He's somebody who has been documenting and telling many, many lies over and over again. So his credibility is limited, as with many of the leaders of the U.S. administration, like Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who's been caught out in a number of false statements. So for them to come out and say that all of this is happening, they don't have the kind of credibility that you would want a president to have in this kind of situation. So he may say that, may believe that about the election, but I don't think the facts bear that out right now.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us there, Mr. Ray Locker. He's a Washington-based investigative journalist, and he was telling us all about the latest strike there in the Middle East by the United States. Thank you so much.